All right, this is just going to be a short clip on the testing they've been doing for the virus. I came across a website that's been very, very well. It's www.mp-22.com, and here's a short piece from. This is from the a little cut from the inventor of the PCR test, which is what they've based everything upon, to prove that there's a pandemic going on. And you're going to hear from the inventor who received a Nobel Prize for creating this device. It's not a test; it's a device that they've turned into a test that doesn't work. And here you're going to hear from him, from the horse's mouth, so to speak, his own disgust as to why what they're doing with this thing. So no, it doesn't work. It's unreliable, and it doesn't work, and it doesn't test for anything reliable.
Into these tests. They are basing the case numbers on PCR tests. A positive result does not mean the person is infectious with anything, let alone COVID-19. What the PCR test detects is genetic material from viruses or bacteria that your immune system has dealt with in the past. The inventor of the test himself, Kerry Mullen, had spoken previously about the test's inability to be used in detecting a certain virus.
It's Kerry Mullis.
If they could find this virus in you at all, and with PCR, if you do it well, you can find almost anything in anybody, because if you can amplify one single molecule up to something that you can really measure, which PCR can do, then there's just very few molecules that you don't have at least one single one of them in your body, okay? So that could be thought of as a misuse of it, just to claim that it's meaningful.
Another issue with it.
To claim that it's meaningful. So on top of that, you would see this in the mainstream media news. All right, science fail. Portuguese court rules PCR tests unreliable, unlawful evidence of alleged COVID-19 infections. People in the alternative media have been saying for a long time now that the CDC has not isolated the virus. If it's not isolated, if they haven't isolated the virus and have grown it in human tissue, what are they testing for? All right, and thus these tests don't work at all. And if you're skeptical of this, do a simple search. Don't use Google unless you like to be tracked for everything that you do. Use DuckDuckGo or one of the other search engines. You won't be tracked, or as tracked as much. And you could see for yourself. Let's look at this. Okay, Portuguese appeals court deems PCR test unreliable. Portugal takes a stand against flawed PCR test. Science fails, the one I just read for you. Portugal court rules PCR tests unreliable. Portuguese appeals court deems PCR tests unreliable, just over and over and over again. Now these are other publications that aren't controlled by the 5 major corporations that control the news that you see on the internet and on TV and cable. So, it's just so frustrating that they're and I go outside and I see these people wearing their masks. There are videos galore that show that their masks are useless. Fauci originally said so and then walked back on it. I don't know what's controlling him. What's going on with him? Anyway, here's CDC Center for Disease Control. This was from a Hong Kong test that they did, and you could read, how many people have been tested and blah blah blah, and how for a period of time it was over 2,000 people had been tested. It was a scientific test with a control and everything else. And if you scroll down to methods and results, hand hygiene, you could read how hand hygiene pretty much doesn't do anything. All right, but the one that really kills me is face masks, and you could read within the first paragraph here, no effective results in reducing the transmission of virus. So I mean, it's just ridiculous. what they've done to us, ruining businesses. You go out to eat, you have to wear a mask, and you're guided to a table. Then you could take your mask off and eat. It's so silly. It's so ridiculous. There are videos of doctors wearing different styles of masks and putting a vape pen underneath the mask and blowing the vapor throughout the mask. It goes in every direction. I went through a back and forth with the Health and Human Services in my local area here about this, and their PR person responded. She watched the video, and her response was, "Oh, well, the vapor doesn't go directly forward." I mean, if you see these videos, it's everywhere. It goes forward, yeah. So, just ridiculous. What else do I've got here? Global uprising. Millions stand up against the lockdowns.
In this video today, as we see in this clip here, people are
This is
shouting
Josh.
Liberté, liberté, liberté in
From World
streets
Alternative
of
Media.
Paris, France, as they have seen an incredible, insane lockdown, but
People are
also
getting
an
mad.
awesome uprising by people who give a damn, which we're not seeing in a lot of places around the world. But to the degree that there are people pissed off everywhere, that is certainly true. We see this article out of Zero Hedge here. It says, burn that mask, burn that mask. Huntington Beach protesters march in defiance of California's new
Living in
curfew.
California.
And
Good God.
Apparently COVID only comes out at night, my friends. As you see in this video, there are a lot of people in the streets in California, which is a good sign, though of course it's been made to look political, and of course people then claim that all these people must just be Trump supporters. Well, I know a lot of people that aren't Trump supporters that just want to feed their family that are going.
So anyway, that's pretty much what I've got for you. This MP22, they have a series of videos. The first one, The Suppression of Science, is very good. It just shows how everything is connected. All these people that are working for Big Pharma are also in government or vice versa. The conflicts of interest are rife, and that's in our country, not only England. Finally, there's a fellow named Clint Richardson. He does a video on, wagging the dog, okay? Here it is, wagging. Can't find the top part of it. Let's see. Oops. Come on. Oh, geez, come on. Wagging the Dog, Part 1, the story behind COVID. It's a very, very long video, but he has it broken down into segments. The first segment is about 45 minutes. This is, January 10th, 2017. Fauci talking. And these guys are like, it's like Nazi scientists. They're talking about modifying viruses to make them more potent, to make them more contagious. They talk about there's something like a mink virus, or I think it was a mink virus, or it looked like an animal like that, where they, two animals, animals would pass it back and forth in kind of not a very effective way, but they would get sick, and the whole colonies wouldn't die and all. Well, they figured out how to make it so that it's transferred through the air. All right. So, and they made it. They transferred the virus. They mutated it and made it so it's more contagious than it used to be. And they're like proud of this stuff. And the rationale is that if we don't do it, there's a country in the world that might do this and unleash it upon us and the rest of the world, and we won't know what to do. In the meantime, they're talking about this stuff being released from the labs that they control, leaked, either by accident or intentionally. They actually use the word intentionally. So I don't know. The real shocker here is, finally Portugal, some country has the guts to stand up and say the PCR thing is a joke, and everything is based on the PCR. Everything, all the testing, all the daily cases, quote unquote, that you hear of every day, and that's even a joke. There's documents put out by the CDC telling doctors that they don't necessarily have to even test for COVID to mark it as COVID. All right, I'm not talking about the deaths. I'm talking about cases. Okay, so you come in with the sniffles, doctor's busy, mark it off as COVID. All right, and then they report that. And then you see these gargantuan increases in cases, and the mainstream media pumps it all out, and it's like, oh my God, we're being overwhelmed with this. There are people that have going into the hospitals and filming, and the hospitals are not overflowing like they said. They might be more busy because they're that busy this time of year anyway. And what this disease, essentially what it boils down to in my mind, it's the flu. That they've named it COVID-19, and they're scaring the heck out of everybody. So yeah, if you do get the average person gets the sniffles, they're going to freak. It's like, oh, I'm sick, oh my God. I better get to the doctor right away. I better get to the hospital, and there you go, more cases. So anyway, that's what I wanted everybody to see, and hopefully people watch this, understand it. And this wagging the dog thing is very technical. Clint Richardson complains within it that it was originally live streamed and only 2,000 people worldwide watched this. It's like, this is what the world is being shut down over right now. But back in 2017, when they're prepping everybody for this whole nonsense, only 2,000 people watch this. That's the whole thing. It's happening in front of us, and the information is buried. It's not exciting information, but this is what we're being controlled by right now. If you have the time to watch this thing on wag the dog, or the tail wags the dog, wagging the dog part 1, the story behind the story of COVID-19. It's shocking. It's just shocking. They're talking about the worst possible diseases and making them easier to catch. Whoopee. It's bioweapons. Supposedly we're not supposed to be doing this in this country. There was a moratorium. And there's the story about it being Mr. Fauci over here allowing it to be shipped all over to Wuhan, where they didn't have the moratorium on these kind of experiments. Anyway, I already said I was going to end this. I'm going to end it now. Thanks for watching. So long.